His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, opened the fourth session of the 13th National Assembly and gave his address. And so members of Parliament started debating his speech on Tuesday. And when business resumes at 17 hours, we expect Mbabala Member of Parliament, Mr. Joseph Musanje, to continue debating this motion.
Business resumed at 14:30 hours, and Madam First Deputy Speaker did make one announcement in which she did recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Monilo Secondary School in Lusaka District, and on behalf of the National
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, indeed. So bells are ringing, calling members of Parliament to reconvene in the chamber so that business can be transacted. Remember, there must be 1/3 members of Parliament in order for business to be transacted. So I was saying that when business resumed at 14:30 hours, Madam First Deputy Speaker did make one announcement in which she did recognize the presence of pupils and teachers from Monilo Secondary School in Lusaka District. And on behalf of the National Assembly, Madam Speaker did welcome the visitors to the National Assembly of Zambia.
Yes, Joe, we also had a ministerial statement that was delivered by the Minister of Health, Honorable Elijah Muchima. This was on the country's preparedness to prevent the outbreak of mpox disease. And so we'll be able to share with you the details of this ministerial statement later on.
But just to make mention that the House has so far considered 2 questions of ordinary nature, which falls under the category of Standing Order 80. And today we only had 2 questions, and all the questions were considered on the House, on the floor of the House, and I will be able to give the details of the answers which were given by the honorable ministers.
Yes, Joe, and the first question for answer understanding order 80, this is question number 12, did come from Masaiti, Member of Parliament, Mr. Michael Katambo. He directed this question to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, where he wanted to find out when the construction of Masaiti District of Masaiti District Hospital in Masaiti District will be completed, and what the cause of the delay in completing the project is, who the contractor of the project is, what the total cost of the project is, how much money had been paid to the contractor as of April 2024, and what level of completion in percentage terms the project was as of April 2024. And so, like my colleague mentioned to say, we'll be able to share with you the answers of this question later on.
And they also did consider a question which came from Mr. Allen Banda, Chimwemwe constituency member of Parliament. He did direct his question to the Minister of Health. He wanted to find out in 3 parts rather. In A, how many cases of prescription error were recorded in public and private health facilities countrywide in 2023, and in B, from the number above, how many cases caused the following: no harm, moderate harm, severe harm, and death, and in C, what measures are being taken to prevent such occurrences in health facilities.
And so bells are still ringing. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament must be present in the House for any business to transact. And so once the quorum is formed, we expect business of the House to resume. And at the time, Madam First Deputy Speaker was suspending business for a 20 minutes health break at 16:40 hours. On the floor of the House was Mbabala Member of Parliament, Mr. Joseph Musanje, debating thanks the President's address, a motion of 17th. Just now we take you to the chamber.
When business was suspended, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Member for Kankoyo that the thanks of this Assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in His Excellency the President's address, and the Honorable Member from Mbabala was debating. May the Honorable Member continue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and welcome. Mr. Speaker, I was talking on the roads aspect, whereas in Mbabala we have contributed, doing our own feeder roads through CDF program, and we appeal to RDA through central government to come and continue to help us to improve Mbabala Surukwia, Macha, Dundumwezi, Macha, Muyobe Road, and Pemba Road, including Smaobi Road. These roads need to be tarred, if anything, or further improved, and some of the bridges. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to note the issue of rural connectivity, which we appeal to be included as Mbabala constituents, as we are fully land linked. Mr. Speaker, the issue of ICTs appeals to us a lot in Mbabala, as we continue to, we wrote about the need for Chazangwe, Simunzere, Maugwe, Shrantambo, and Bombo areas to have these towers which are being rolled out in the country to ensure that the whole constituency is connected. Mr. Speaker, we are glad that the school feeding program is coming to all the 116 districts, and this will be welcomed in Mbabala, including the sanitary wear for our girls who we want to keep in school. On the issue of hostels, we appeal to central government to help us to build hostels at Mangunza Secondary and Smaobi Secondary and Macha Day. These are schools in my constituency that do not have boarding facilities but have got weekly students who need this accommodation. Mr. Speaker, we have seen progress in health through the recruitment of health workers and a further 4,000 for this year, which we commend His Excellency and government. And also, Mr. Speaker, the issue of addressing mental health. This includes the mental health of Honorable Bino Mpundu. That needs to be addressed as government is committed to deal with these matters. Mr. Speaker, with these remarks, I'm happy to see that government has responded to a drought situation effectively. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving the people of Feira an opportunity to debate on the presidential speech, which is a constitutional requirement for the president of the country to come and address the country concerning his understanding of the problem of the country and the solutions thereof. Quickly, the people of Feira heard the president talk about rural road connectivity. I must hasten to say that we in Feira, there is a contract under World Bank funded projects, and we are wondering, whilst the contracts were signed in 2021, up to now, nothing is happening. Now, having said that, let me just go outside Feira and talk about the national issues and some of the issues that arose from the presidential speech. Mr. Speaker, it is important. Zambians were waiting to hear the president make landmark statements with regard to the economy. It is clear that since 2021 to date, there's been serious economic woes, or the country's in economic doldrums. Now, the president at length talked about the mining sector and how much money has gone in the mining sector. For instance, I even heard from one of my colleagues from the right talking about 1.1 billion coming into this country. Now, if they should tell us which bank is holding that 1.1, and I can tell you where 1.1 has hit billion dollars has hit the country, we could have seen an immediate change. So these stories that are being said, we do not. So there was talk of Mingomba mining, Luwambe, and all these things, and so much money, and that the mining sector is back in business. But what the president forgot to talk about is what is it for Zambians? 2 jobs here and so on, people getting paid 3,000. Is that what is there to show for? What Zambian people expected, because the birthright of Zambians is actually mining, in particular copper mining. We expected the taxation system that will be employed so that the treasury is properly endowed with finances. Every time we raise issues, you are saying you have no money. Where do you think you get money if you are not mining you are not taxing the mining sector? It is very important. And I'm wondering what is happening. That, we respect so much the foreign investors against the Zambian people. Here, the minister brought, a mobile transaction a taxing system, which obviously was passed because of the arrogance of numbers. And what has happened is that Zambians are crying. We are losing too much money through that tax. So why are you not taxing the mining sector? Because that's the only resource we have anyway. Now, if you look at other countries, look at even Botswana. Botswana, they said that we are going to negotiate what is right for us. For all the diamonds which De Beers mines, 50% of the diamonds goes to the government of the day in that country. And apart from, and they say on the money, all the money goes in the treasury. Other than that, the other 50% which goes to De Beers is actually taxed. So you can see how our friends have woken up. We are still in a slave mentality situation. I know that the slaves those days were being chained, hands, and they were being put. Right now it appears that the chains of slavery are in the head. So I am of the view that we need to establish a taxing system which will show something coming from our natural resources. Look at Tanzania also. Right now, they're boasting of having even an underground train. You think it came from nowhere? It's because of a taxation system. Even Burkina Faso, which is led by, a military ruler, they are getting the best from their uranium. So, having said that, I'm of the view that we need to tax these companies, foreign or wherever they come from. And I'd like, us coming here, talk about recovery of an old Toyota Hilux. I think that the government is getting, what is there to gain from an old vehicle? The energy crisis, which has already been talked about. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious issue, and we expected particular and specific answers. Right now, as I speak, even our children in homes, how are they studying, particularly those in exam classes? Other than that, the president talked about the micro and small businesses. Those need electricity. Yes, this idea of solar panels. Solar cannot be a solution to the economy of this country per se. What we need is hydropower. And one of the problems has already been underscored. We exported just too much. Because we have people just exporting day in, year out, exporting. The manufacturing sector, the other day I went to one of the companies manufacturing sacks. They've been closed for 2 weeks because of lack of power. The cost of cement is going up because there's no power. The production has gone low, and there's no supply of all those materials. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to just submit that it is not important for the President to come here and talk about the mining sector without a proper taxing system. In the little minutes remaining, Mr. Speaker, I heard my colleague talk about, lacuna in the Constitution. The Law Association of Zambia, which I proudly belong to, as well as, State Council John Sangwa, they have made it clear. There is no lacuna in the Constitution. When we have a problem with the Constitution, that's why we established in 2016, under the PF government, we established the Constitutional Court. Go and get that Constitution, the Constitutional Court, or any issues. The President has no powers under the Constitution to interpret the Constitution. Now, we are talking about 8 years, 9 years of no elections. Is that practical? And let me tell you, the Constitution does not operate in a vacuum. That's why that court exists in the name of the Constitution. Before I sit down, Mr. Speaker, there's been a lot of arbitrary arrests. There are people in the name of Rizwan Patel who are in Sparta prisons. I've not seen the day of court. There's now even children who just want to show their concern, like Jason Mwanza. What are they doing in prison? Up to now, they've not been taken to court. All those issues, it's actually an indictment on this government democratic credentials, which are all-time low. Mr. Speaker, let me also indicate that there was talk about corruption. But the President left out a very important issue. Just recently, the board of SEC was dissolved. The Director General of SEC was actually, he resigned on his own because of corruption allegations. And this has been clear. What we expect is a President starting with his own house, which is stinking of corruption. And I'm aware that, nothing has been done. And very soon, we just have a year and a half, I will be seeing how you'll be also...
Honorable Member...
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member for Feira, the word stinking is unparliamentary. Withdraw it and replace it.
Which word, Mr. Speaker? Oh, smelling. Mr. Speaker, it's so vivid. There's too much corruption. So that is the equivalent of smelling. So I withdraw that. Now, there's someone, I will not mention names here. Mr. Speaker, there's been unprecedented levels or numbers of consent judgments. A little bit, UPND cries the Attorney General, and here we debated, he was formerly a member of the Management Committee of UPND.
Honorable Member for Feira.
Yes, ma'am.
You should know very well that our rules don't allow. The person you are bringing into context, Attorney General, cannot defend himself. So if you want to smear him, he's in a weaker position, he can't defend himself. And issues that the court order, so desist from making such unwarranted statements. And let's stick to the rules of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I take note of that. But the point I was saying, there's unprecedented levels of consent judgments involving UPND, which is another form of
order.
Corruption.
Your time is up, Honorable Member.
Still a few minutes.
You've gone into negative.
Yes. Consent
May you take your seat?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Sesheke.
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to say a few words on the President's address to the nation. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that the country is in the crisis of energy challenges vis-a-vis the electricity due to drought. I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, that the President did not shy away from agreeing to the fact that the country is facing electricity challenges that in turn have also disturbed or hampered the economic growth of this country, as it were. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm comforted to realize that amidst all these challenges, the President has made it categorically clear that there is need for this country to go into a mixed kind of power generation, which the committee that I belong to for a very long time has time and again, even in the past, advised the executive to go that route. And I'm happy that the new Dawn administration has taken heed to the core to ensure that we do not entirely rely on the hydro generation of power. I shudder, Mr. Speaker, listening to my colleague who unfortunately has stepped outside, politicizing or saying this generation of power, when we have challenges of water. This situation, Mr. Speaker, poses an opportunity for us to ensure that we shed our brains abroad and come up with other initiatives that will help us to generate more power, not just by relying on the hydro generation, but to ensure that we go the mix, the wind, solar, hydrokinetic, and any other form of energy generation, so that in turn we can aggregate and have a cocktail of mixed kind of arrangement in terms of power generation. I think that's a sober leadership. Mr. Speaker, You can only tell the intelligence or brilliance of a student on how they handle certain challenges that comes their way. The new Dawn administration, even amidst the shortage of food, has not shied away and has provided the opportunity to ensure that no life is lost. I come from a district, Mr. Speaker, that has badly affected by the drought, but the new Dawn administration has put measures in place to ensure that the lives of our people are safeguarded. The social cash transfer, Mr. Speaker, has been increased. The cash for work. All households, Mr. Speaker, in my constituents and many other districts that have been affected by the drought have benefited. Mitete here, where my elder brother is coming from, is one such a district that has benefited from this initiative to ensure that we do not lose life. Mr. Speaker, the new Dawn administration is on the trajectory using the decentralized policy by enhancing CDF to ensure that development is taken to all corners of this country. I was listening to the President's address when he did mention that many feeder roads have been done using this initiative. And my constituents, Mr. Speaker, is one such a constituency that for a very long time, where we were standing knee-deep in the river for 6 years, we never had feeder roads. We were dying of thirst. But the coming in of the new Dawn administration and the enhancement of CDF, today when you go to Sesheke, Mr. Speaker, you drive to any corner of Mlimambango Ward, which is the heart of Sesheke, without any worry of your vehicle getting stuck. Why? Because there is a leadership that understands that development is not only Lusaka, but taking development to all corners of this country, because every citizen of this country deserves a fair share of the national cake. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that in the past, the issue of corruption, the high levels of illicit financial flows was the order of the day, where people are not even shy to display what they have gotten through dubious means. We are aware that there were members that were even put on the payroll in ZESCO, an institution that was so weighed down by illicit financial flows. And Mr. Speaker, I feel for ZESCO, because it has been operating for a very long period of time without cost reflective in terms of the tariff. How then do we expect ZESCO to operate above par when it had people that were put on payroll that were not working, a lot of illicit financial flows, operating without cost reflective of the power that they are generating? To this time, Mr. Speaker, ZESCO is still operating on non-cost reflective tariff. How can it attract other investment with these challenges? Mr. Speaker, Sesheke has got a peculiar place called Imosho, and I want to request the Minister of Finance as well as the Minister of Infrastructure to look into the plight of the people of Imosho, who up to this time, for you to access it, you have to go through Namibia, a situation that is quite cumbersome. But I'm confident with what has happened to other rural parts of this country, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure Imosho, through God's divine providence, as well as the Sesheke Kazungula Livingstone Road, will be done, because it's an economical road. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to fully support the President's address, and I urge all members to do the same. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Justice, Acting Leader of Government Business Adjournment.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the House now do adjourn.
The question is that the House now do adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House is now adjourned.
Tomorrow at 09 hours. We go straight into business. Deputy Speaker did make one announcement in which she recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Mundlo Secondary School in Lusaka District. Madam First Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
And thereafter, we had a ministerial statement to update Parliament and the country on the preparedness to prevent an outbreak of mpox by the Minister of Health, Honorable Elijah Muchima. And the Minister did start by talking about mpox. He did say that mpox is a viral zoonotic disease that has been declared as a disease of global public health concern by the African Center of Disease Prevention and Control under the World Health Organization. He said that it is an infectious disease caused by the monkeypox virus with the following symptoms: a painful rash, enlarged lymph nodes, headache, sore throats, and fever, adding that most people fully recover while some get very sick and die.
The Minister of Health did say that the first cases of mpox disease were reported in parts of Central and West African in West Africa, and that cases now spread to other regions, thereby raising global alarms. He did say that a total number of 99,176 confirmed cases of mpox have been reported globally between 1st January 2022 and 30th June 2024 by the World Health Assembly. The African region alone has reported 4,232 confirmed cases with 35 associated deaths. The minister did say that the affected countries include the Democratic Republic of Congo, recording the highest number of cases so far, and also in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa, and also in Burundi.
The minister also added that the government, through Zambia National Public Health Institute, has taken proactive steps to ensure that the country is well prepared to prevent, detect and respond to any potential monkeypox cases. To this effect, the minister has highlighted the following measures that have been put in place.
Yes, these include enhanced surveillance, capacity building, laboratory capacity, public awareness campaigns, isolation and quarantine facilities, and vaccination and treatment readiness. The Minister of Health did state that the government is committed to safeguarding the health of its citizens and visitors, and assured the August House that government will continue to monitor the global and regional situation closely and implement necessary measures to protect the people of Zambia. And so, in brief, that was the ministerial statement that was delivered on the floor of the House by the Minister of Health, and we saw members of Parliament seeking points of clarification from the minister. Just now we look at the questions that have been considered on the floor of the House. Joe.
Yeah, we look at question 13, which came from Mr. Ellen Danda, who is a Chimwemwe constituency, a member of parliament. He did direct his question to the Minister of Health, and he wanted to find out in three parts. In A, how many cases of prescription error were recorded in the public and private health facilities countrywide in 2023, and in B, from the number above, how many cases caused the following: no harm, moderate harm, severe harm, and death, and in C, what measures have been taken to prevent such occurrences in health facilities. And in answering, the minister did say that government does not have statistics on the prescription error recorded in the public and private health facilities countrywide, adding that this is because the process used for prescription and dispensing in public and private health facilities provides a double checking to prevent prescription error. He added that prescription errors are usually spotted at the point of dispensing by the pharmacists. The minister added that when a prescription error is noticed, the pharmacist, the prescriber, is alerted immediately, and the error is corrected before the medication is dispensed to the patient. Therefore, the minister did say that part A over the question B fell off. And in answering question B, the minister did say that government remains committed of government through the Ministry of Health to provide quality health care to all citizens of Zambia. And the minister did highlight the following measures being taken to prevent the prescription error, which includes pre-service and in-service training of prescribers and dispensers to ensure appropriate and rational prescription and dispensing standards. Others include established facility-based medicines and therapeutics committees, which addresses issues of medicine use. Other measures include technical supportive supervision to health facilities by specialists and clinical teams quarterly, conducting annual drug audit reviews and adherence to treatment guidelines, among other measures.
Another question that was considered on the floor of the House came from Masaiti, Member of Parliament, Mr. Michael Katambo. He directed his question to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, where he wanted to find out when the construction of Masaiti District Hospital in Masaiti District will be completed. And the minister did say that the construction will be completed in the second quarter of 2025. In part B of the question, the member of Masaiti wanted to find out what the cause of the delay in completing the project is, and the minister did say that the delay in completing the project is due to funding constraints. Another question, he wanted to find out what the total cost of the project is, and the minister did say that 11,182,061 kwacha 88 ngwe is the total cost of the project. He also wanted to find out how much money had been paid to the contractor as of April 2024, and the minister did say that more than 7 million kwacha was paid to the contractor. In the last part of the question, he wanted to find out at what level of completion in percentage terms the project was as of April 2024, and the minister did say that the level was at 85% as of April 2024. And so those are just two questions for oral answer that have been considered on the floor of the House.
Yes, indeed, Matimba, and thereafter the House did consider the motion of thanks. This is the motion of 17th of September, as we are aware that President Agende Chilema on 13th of September did officially open the fourth session of the 13th National Assembly, meaning that members of Parliament have been debating his address, and they shall continue up to next week, Tuesday. Wow, so this is basically what we had for you on behalf of my co-presenter Matimba Mkoa and our two sign language interpreters. My name is Joe Akatama. Please continue watching Parliament Television, the station that is dedicated to bringing Parliament closer to you. Good evening.